How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a subscriber story of when this spoiled, spratty girl basically got absolutely wrecked by the Minecraft kid. I don't want to spoil exactly how she got wrecked, but let me just say that it was pretty incredible, enough that I thought I'd have to tell the story. And she was definitely brought down to earth. Someone definitely popped her super inflated ego, and it was pretty hilarious. If you enjoy story videos, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with notifications on. Also, leave a like on the video because you'll get literally nothing if you do that, which is a pretty epic deal. With that being said, let's jump into the story. So this story was sent in by a subscriber. You can send in your own stories to my Instagram. It will be in the description. But anyways, right, the subscriber, he's in this class and he is in 7th grade. In this class, there's this one kind of group of girls, which are like the popular group, but there's this one girl who's kind of like the alpha of the pack. I know that sounds a little weird, but you know how sometimes there's like a group of popular people and one of them is like obviously the dominant ones and the other ones are kind of like the followers. It's pretty stereotypical in a lot of like movies and TV shows to have that, and it actually was like this in his class. Anyways, let's give this girl a name. We're just gonna call this girl Erin because I watched The Office recently and that was a name that's in The Office. Anyways, right, so Erin is kind of like the top dog of like her pack of popular people. And the thing is, these girls are like popular, but they're the popular type that like for some reason that they're kind of known as popular, even though a lot of people really don't like them because they've kind of garnered a reputation of not being, you know, great people. Like basically this group of girls will like snub other people. They'll kind of like make comments. They'll like spread drama, kind of like all the like the nasty stuff that's like portrayed in movies of like popular high school cliques and stuff. It was basically that, but in real life. But yeah, so most people didn't like them and they didn't dislike them for like no good reason. Erin and her clique were definitely like not good people. I mean, maybe they were fine people, but they were caught up in the drama of like being the popular 7th grader. Honestly, I bet they'll look back one day and be like, wow, that was so stupid. There's also a kid in this class kind of known as the Minecraft kid. I'm not going to bother giving him a name. I'm literally just going to call him the Minecraft kid for the duration of this video. This Minecraft kid was known as the Minecraft kid because he would literally start playing, he would play Minecraft like in class. Like he would have his computer out, he'd have his mouse out, and he found kind of a spot in the room, and he also was playing like game modes that didn't need a ton of clicking, right? So he could actually get away with it to play it during class, but everyone kind of, at least in the back of the room, and then it's kind of spread as like common knowledge, the front of the room, people kind of knew that he was doing it, so he was kind of known as the Minecraft kid. He was also like not like super cool in that type of sense. Like he was a decent guy and everyone like had good interactions with him, but he was kind of like, he was a little nerdy, he was a little sweaty, right? It is what it is. No offense to liking Minecraft. I mean, obviously, like that's the gameplay I use in all my videos. I obviously enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot when I was like in 5th, 6th grade, and I enjoy it a lot now. But he was kind of known as that, and he wasn't like, Erin and her group of girls weren't, he wasn't the guy that they were necessarily going after, which maybe he's going to be some like, you know, insanely wealthy crypto hedge fund quant guy because of all of his time on the computer, but he isn't that now, so that's why they didn't want him. Erin and her friends were more into the whole like Brad and Chad type guys, kind of like the top 2 dudes on the school's football team. One of them was in their grade, another one was in the 8th grade, but that's irrelevant. They're not even part of the story, really. I just got that little bit of detail. I thought I'd add it. Anyways, right, so Erin and her girls one day are bored. You know, and what else should they do besides try and be bad people, right? Because when I'm bored, I try and be a terrible person. Just kidding. I usually make YouTube videos. But anyways, right, Erin and her group of, I'm just going to call them Erin and her minions from here on out because that's really fitting for the story, right? Erin and her minions were bored one day, so they thought to themselves, who can we mess with? Erin and her, I'm 19 years old. Why am I still having voice cracks? Why? What? So Erin and, oh my God, dude. Anyways, so Erin and her minions, right? So Erin and her minions were like, okay, we have a great idea. And they had a devious plot, right? Their plot was to basically Erin to ask out the Minecraft kid on a date. And then during the date, like basically say, like troll him and be like, you know, I didn't actually want to go out with you. This is a big joke. Like, it sounds really immature as it is and cruel, but these were like the mean 7th grade girls. So like, and in a sense, like, can you really, like, I'm not super shocked. It's still cruel and mean and like ridiculous, but I'm like, okay, mean 7th grade girls, I can kind of see it happening. Aaron and her minions thought their plan was like super funny or something, so they started going around telling a few people what they were planning to do. And these people, since they didn't necessarily fear them, but they didn't want to get on their bad sides, they were like, aha, yeah, that sounds like something, right? They didn't necessarily endorse it, but they also weren't like, you guys are awful for thinking of that, you guys are terrible people, as they were. And I don't want to, okay, when I say terrible person, I take that very lightly. They're in 7th grade. They're growing. They'll hopefully learn from their mistakes. But at that time, they were being pretty terrible kids, right? They're being terrible kids, right? Anyways, but this one girl that they told, they weren't 100% sure. They didn't know this, right? But this one girl that they also told about their plan was somewhat friends with the Minecraft kid. But this girl, instead of standing up for the Minecraft kid, decided to come up with something even better than saying, don't do it. She crafted her own master plot. So this girl that Aaron and her minions told about their evil plot, who is also friends with the Minecraft kid, decided to, instead of like saying something, decided that she was going to inform the Minecraft kid of everything that Aaron and these girls were plotting. And then from there, they would be able to make their own plot and be able to, instead of allowing Aaron and their friends and her friends to troll the Minecraft kid and make fun of him, their plan was to actually, since of the inside information the Minecraft kid would be to turn it, completely flip the tables and kind of expose and then humiliate Aaron, right? And kind of put her in her place. Hopefully, maybe altering the course of her behavior from this point forward. Since we're kind of on an office-themed naming selection, we're going to call this girl Pam. Pam is, by the way, the girl that is friends with the Minecraft kid that Aaron and her minions told about the plan, right? So what Pam decided to do was she decided to dig a little bit more, being like, oh, that's so funny, kind of egging it on a little bit to give them a bit of reinforcement to make it seem like she was actually on their side. And then Pam said, oh, when do you plan to do this? And Aaron and her minions said, oh, we plan to do this tomorrow. We're going to ask him out tomorrow to go on a date with me later at lunch. And Aaron goes on to say, and I'm going to make the asking out pretty public so that people are aware what's happening. And I'm going to have the date happen at lunch where everyone else is. So when I troll him publicly, everyone else will see and it'll be really funny and everyone will be in on the joke now. So Pam was a little bit like, wow, that's so cruel. But she only said that in her head because she didn't want to blow her cover. And she's like, that's so funny. Keep me updated. I can't wait to watch this. So then Pam goes and finds the Minecraft kid, and she basically explains everything to him that she was told. And then she says, all right, now we have the upper hand. We need to troll them back somehow. And the Minecraft kid sits there for a minute. And he honestly doesn't seem that offended by the whole thing, which honestly, I think if I was in the Minecraft kid's shoes, I would have been a little offended that someone even was planning to do something so cruel to me. It's not like, you know, Aaron and her gang had a like beef with the Minecraft kid. The Minecraft kid was just known as like the nice kind of like nerdy guy who girls didn't really want to get with. Like, it's unfortunate, man, but it is what it is. But people also knew him as the nice kid who played Minecraft. But, you know, the Minecraft kid sat there for a minute. He got this little smirk on his face. And he said, Aaron, I have a good idea. No, he didn't say Aaron, bro. He's not talking to Aaron. I'm sorry. The office is making me confused. He said, Pam, I got a good idea. I'm going to interrupt this video to tell you that the secret phrase of the day is house. So if you made it this far into the video, I want you to go down into the comment section and comment house down below, like the thing people live in, House. I just like to see... Yeah, I spelled that right. Okay, I was like panicked for a second. I'm like, did I just make myself look like a fool? Anyways, I just like to see who makes it this far into the video, and I will try and heart as many of those comments. So if you want to farm hearts and get top commenter, that's the best way to do it. With that being said, let's get back to the story. Right. So the Minecraft kid, you know, turns to Pam and says, I have the perfect plan. And the Minecraft kid tells Pam what his plan is. I'm not going to spoil it yet. I'm just going to tell you what happens, and I'll reveal exactly what the plan is after I tell you what happens, right? So the next day rolls around, and it's the morning, and the Minecraft kid is just kind of chilling there, playing Minecraft as he's known to, like, do, right? So the Minecraft kid is just chilling there, and basically what happens is, like, he's waiting for, you know, Aaron and her minions to come over and for Aaron to, like, ask him out on a date, all public, and, like, everyone's gonna know, and they're... they're going to be like, oh my God. And he's supposed to react like, oh my gosh, the popular girl wants to go on a date with me. But little do they know, the Minecraft kid's actually in on it. And he's got his own plot. And he himself has a plot as well. The thing was, since Erin and her like minions told so many people about the plan, it basically got around to everyone what the plan was. And like a few people actually did try and tell the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid's like, went up to them. He's like, I'm totally aware. I got a plan of my own. Do not let Erin know that I know. And honestly, that was a little risky. Like, there was a chance Erin would have found out, but thankfully Erin didn't find out. So Erin and her, like her minions go up to him, and very loudly, Erin's like, hey, Minecraft kid. She actually says his real name, right? But we're calling him Minecraft kid. Hey, Minecraft kid. Wow, you're so cute. Do you want to go on a date with me? And she says it in such like an animated, like fake way that it's so obvious. But the Minecraft kid decides to play into it because he wants to have his own plot happen. He said, oh, wow, really? Yeah, sure. And she's like, oh, let's go on a date at lunch today. And she looks around the room. Erin looks around the room. And she's like winking and everything, and people are kind of grimacing because they're like, this is beyond cruel and messed up, right? They're like, hey, yo, right, this is insane. And he's like, yeah, sure. And Erin and her friends walk back to the front of the room, and they're all smirking, and like they're kind of like talking to people because they're in on the joke, but they don't realize that Minecraft kid has a whole trick up his sleeve, dude. The subscriber that told this story knows all of this because he was one of the people who was told about Erin's plan, and he actually went up to the Minecraft kid and told him, and he was told by the Minecraft kid, like, I got a plot of my own. And afterwards, he went up to the Minecraft kid and asked for like a rundown of everything. Lunch eventually comes around, and their scheduled date is about to happen. And the Minecraft kid is sitting there all confident because, you know, he knows what's about to go down, and he knows that no one else besides maybe Pam knows what's about to go down. So Erin comes down, she goes over to the table, and she sits down, and she has this smirk. The plan is for Erin to eventually start, like, at one point, pretty soon, to be like, this isn't a real date, like, this was a prank. I would never go out with someone like you. I know, sounds like ridiculously cruel. This is 7th grade, my guys. Like, I don't know how else to say it, right? But anyways, right before Erin is able to say anything, the Minecraft kid says, oh, my fault, getting a phone call right now. The Minecraft kid starts talking really loudly, and he says, yeah, no, I'm not doing anything important right now. Yeah, no, I'd love to go on a date. Right now? Yeah, just come into the lunchroom. I'd love to go on a date with you. And Erin's just sitting there like, hey, yo, what's happening? So basically, the Minecraft kid had an older sister who was 1 grade older. And this older sister was pretty popular, but she was very nice. And this older sister had a friend who was very, very pretty and known as being like one of the prettiest girls in the school. And Minecraft kid told his older sister about what had happened, and he asked if that pretty friend can pretend to go on a date with him, right? And she said, yeah, of course. And the pretty friend was like totally in on it. We're going to call the pretty friend, we're going to call her Audrey, right? So back to the story. Minecraft kid is sitting there, and Erin is just like, what? She's completely just like flabbergasted. And people around her were listening in because they were like, this is about to be so cruel and just like a bloodbath. Like we do want to hear what happens though. And they're like, oh my God. And they start whispering, and word starts to spread of what Minecraft kid just said. And as people were starting to realize what was happening, the doors open, and Audrey, the Minecraft kid's older sister, very hot friend, walks in. And it's just like sits down and says, hey, like she comes up to the Minecraft kid and she's like, hey, do you want to go on a date? And he said, yeah, sure. Let's go over there. And Erin is just like, her face is just like no emotion, completely void of emotion. And so, yeah, the Minecraft kid and Audrey just go over to another table, and they're sitting there having a good discussion because, like, Audrey's been over to the house a couple times because she's friends with the Minecraft kid's older sister. So, like, the Minecraft kid and Audrey are actually, like, low-key kind of friends, and they talk about, like, some nerdy stuff together that Audrey doesn't have a lot of friends to talk about with. But anyways, right, the impression is that Minecraft kid basically decided to level up mid-date, which you should never actually do. That's a very cruel thing to do. But the reason why he did is because, like, he was trying to, like, Aaron deserved it at this point, right? So what happened was Aaron kind of had to do a walk of shame as word spread about what happened. Yeah, that was the ending of the story. Pretty crazy, right? If you guys want to submit your own stories, Instagram Connor Pugs down below. If you want to support the channel, literally just go ahead and watch another one of my Storytime videos, or click on the Storytime link, which is first link in the description, to go watch some old videos and support the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Peace. How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a good day. So today we got a story that, in my opinion, it's just pretty satisfying. And what I mean by that is I always find it satisfying when someone who really has it coming to them gets what they deserve, basically. So this story comes from one of my friends, where basically his cousin acts like a massive jerk for a very long time to him, and then all I can say, because I don't want to spoil it, is karma, man. This is like top 10 karma stories right here, bro. Like, when I heard this story, I was like, I gotta put this on the channel immediately. And if you don't want bad karma to happen to you, subscribe to the channel with notifications on. If you don't turn on the notifications, you won't ever see my videos, and I'd really appreciate that. And no one wants bad karma, so yeah, let's just jump right into the story, guys. So let's call my friend Eric. Obviously, that's not his real name, because, I don't like using real names in stories. It just makes things easier. I think you know what I mean. Anyways, so Eric was telling me about basically what happened 2 summers ago, right? So Eric has a cousin, and Eric's cousin's name, let's call him Andrew, because I'm trying to think of names I can easily remember. Anyways, right, so Eric's has a cousin, his name is Andrew, and Andrew has a lot of money, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, man. Like, money doesn't necessarily make you a bad person. It doesn't make you someone who you don't want to hang out around with. Actually, like, honestly, if you're someone who, like, was very successful and you worked really hard and you got a lot of money because of that, those might actually be traits where I want to hang out with you, because, I like hanging out with, hardworking people. However, Eric's cousin was not like that, man. Andrew, who is Eric's cousin, was, basically always got everything. His parents didn't really... I'm not going to come for their parenting style, but, man, I don't think you can really give your kid everything, even if you can literally give them everything. I think you got to, like, set some boundaries. You got to teach them, like, the value of things. So, basically, Eric's cousin Andrew, the TLDR, he was pretty spoiled at that point. And it definitely affected his attitude and the way he treated people and acted. It was just kind of bad news, man. So Eric had not seen his cousin Andrew in, about 2 years at this point. And remember, this was 2 years ago. So it has been a while since Eric had seen Andrew. But then one day, Eric's mom came and said, hey, Eric, you're going to be seeing your cousin Andrew for the summer. We're going over to their house in insert location. We're going to be there for a week. They've been very nice to let us stay over. We're going to have a lot of fun. I know that the last time you saw Andrew, he wasn't the greatest, but hey, Eric, it's been 2 years. Things can change, people can change, and this is a really good opportunity for us, because when's the next time we're going to be able to go to insert location? You know what I mean? So Eric was not, like, super excited. I mean, he was kind of excited because, like, insert location was a cool place, and, he knew that Andrew's house was going to be pretty awesome. Like, he just knew that was going to be a fact. But he was also a little bit concerned about Andrew, obviously, because the last time, just, like, his interactions with him before had been subpar, and he was, like, he was open to the fact that he could change, but he was kind of questioning it. But anyways, Andrew was like, okay, Eric was like, okay, Mom, that sounds good. We'll go see Andrew and stay, at his house or whatever. That should be fun. And yeah, so basically, a couple weeks later, they pack up, they drive down. So Eric and his mom are driving down, and they eventually get to Andrew's house, right? And the first thing that they notice is, like, the driveway, because, like, I don't know about you, but, like, most of the time, house driveways are pretty short, because, like, it just gets you to the house, if there's even a driveway at all, right? Like, some houses don't even have a driveway. Some of them let you, there's a driveway to get you in, but it's not, like, that long. But they knew that, like, this house was going to be, like, mad different when, like, Eric and his mom were driving. They get to the driveway, and it takes them, like, 2 minutes to get to the main house, bro. Like, they were like, okay, this thing's about to be different. So basically, they drive in, they get to the house, they open it up, and Andrew's mom was like, oh, welcome, Eric's mom, Eric's mom and Eric, we're so happy to have you here. Let me, Andrew, come down, come and take their bags. Andrew comes down, just does not take their bags, man. He's like, hey, guys, how's it going? He's obviously, like, kind of disinterested. Like, he wasn't being, like, that big of a jerk at this time, apparently. But, he was obviously disinterested. He just simply didn't take the bags. Like, Eric had to, take both the bags, even though, like, Andrew's mom was like, "Oh, Andrew, your guests are here. Let's go take their bags." Andrew was like, "Nah, bro, I'm not doing that. That's crazy." But yeah, so the first interaction's okay, and then Eric and his mom go up to kind of like their guest floor, and they get in, and like there's an entire floor dedicated for them, that it's looking really nice. They're really excited. Honestly, Eric is like, what, maybe Andrew isn't gonna be the greatest, but this is gonna be a pretty fun trip. Like, we're not gonna spend all the time with them, and this should be pretty good. So basically nothing really happens that night, and the next day rolls around, and Eric and Andrew's mom decide that it would be fun for them all to go out and go to kind of like the boardwalk area, for them to go, check out some places, check out some, fun locations, whatever. And so they decide to go out, and the moms decide to go shopping by themselves, and they say, Eric and Andrew, like, you guys go off, go have some fun. And that's where things start to turn a little sour. So this is when things start to go down a little bit downhill, because right off the bat, right, Eric and Andrew, they go and, they just kind of go to this park area, and they're kind of just chilling. I don't know exactly what they're doing now, but, they're just having a good time. And until, right, Andrew kind of brings up, like, hey, do you know how much these shoes go for? And that's when Eric was like, oh boy, this is already going downhill. And just so it's very clear, I'm not shaming anyone for like liking expensive whatever, right? If you like expensive shoes, bro, if that's your thing, or you're really into, I don't know, expensive like trading cards, or you're into like stamp collecting, you like some expensive, stamps or whatever, some rare stuff, dude, like what you like that's totally chill. But bro, it's just not like the thing to go out of your way, plus everything that Andrew's going to do in a second, just be like, hey, you know how much these shoes are? Like, bro, just like wear the shoes. And if they know, they know, dude. And then Eric was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then Andrew looks at Eric's shoes. And look, bro, Eric's shoes aren't bad. They're like, they function. Dude, they've done Eric well, right? So they're good shoes, right? They function, right? But they're not like hundreds and hundreds of dollars like Andrew's shoes are, right? So Andrew makes a comment like, how much do your shoes go for, bro? And Eric was just like, I don't know, like $50, like $60. Like that's not inexpensive. Like that's pretty expensive. Like that's a pair of shoes. Like, obviously, and Eric bought a pair of shoes that would last him. And then Andrew looks at him and just like laughs a little bit and says, okay, let's go. So Eric already kind of knows that, this might be a little bit of a longer trip than he expected, if you know what I mean. So the next day, basically nothing happens after that comment really that's noteworthy, but the next day, at some point, I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I know that Eric basically says to Andrew, Andrew says to Eric, like, you're welcome for, letting you stay at my house. And Andrew was like, or Eric was like, thanks, I guess. Like, yeah, I appreciate it. I'm having a good time, Andrew. Like, that's great. He's like, and then Andrew was like, yeah, if I was you, I wouldn't want to be spending any of my vacation time in your house anyways. And then Eric was like, okay, bro, like, I like my house. He's like, so he basically responds, well, what do you mean by that? And he kind of knew he was opening up Pandora's box by saying this, but, he was starting to get a little bit upset, understandably. If you made it this far into the video, I normally have you guys comment door, but I don't want to always do that because sometimes people will just comment that without watching this far. So I'd like you guys to comment window down below, like the thing you look out of. So if you see anyone commenting door, they didn't actually make it this far. Don't be mean to them though, they had good intentions. But comment window down below. I'll also be hearting a ton of those comments. So if you want to farm some hearts, comment window, and yeah, let's get right back into the story. So then on the third day, probably the most egregious event happened so far compared to the last two. And dude, the last two comments were not that great. But this third day was probably the worst. So basically what happened was that Andrew, Eric, and their parents went into a store, and there's a lot of different items, and the parents kind of went one way, and Andrew and Eric went the other way, and Andrew and Eric went to kind of like the shoe section, or I think it was the shoe section at least, but basically there was these like shoes that were, they were pretty expensive, right? And Eric was looking at them, and he's like, hey, these are pretty cool. And then he checked the tag, and he was like, all right, I can't be doing this. Like these are way too expensive, right? And then Andrew's like, why don't you just buy them? Eric then has to explain to Andrew that he can't be dropping that much money on, some shoes, and like he just can't be doing that, right? And then what Andrew says next is kind of crazy. What Andrew basically follows up, and he's just like, you'd be able to afford that if you weren't as lazy. And then Eric is just like, come again? Yeah, and then Andrew says to Eric, yeah, if you worked as hard as me, right, you'd be able to afford these, no question. Like, I don't even need to think about the price tag when I'm buying these shoes. The only time I look at the price tag is to know how much I'm dropping so I can tell people. He said, you just got to have the right, grind set mentality. Dude, I don't know if he said that exactly because that'd be a total meme, but that was basically what he said. Maybe he didn't say grind set, right? I think I just added that. But basically the dude was like, if you worked as hard as me, right, you would have it. So like Eric was pretty mad because at this point, like he knew that his friend had not worked like a summer job or he wasn't doing anything online to like make any money. And that obviously the dude was not working hard. Basically his parents gave him an allowance. So Eric realized that Andrew's interpretation of working hard was existing, right? And he got an allowance, dude. And while he was justifiably upset by this comment, Eric just didn't want to get in a fight with Andrew because he realized that he still had a couple more days here and that it would have been super awkward, to get in a fight. Just look, honestly, this guy was justified to to be upset with Andrew and to not obviously physically fight him, but to fight back, right? But basically, Eric was like, okay, this guy is obviously living in a different planet. Like, he's not down to earth at all, but I'm just going to have a good time here. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to make things any bit more difficult. And here's the thing. The next 3 days go by, and it's actually pretty chill. But something pretty big happened during the event I just told you that wasn't as apparent to them at the time. So basically what happened, right, is, the trip is done. Erica's mom pack up their stuff and, they leave and they're, Andrew and his mom were like, thank you guys so thank you for coming. And then they're like, no, thank you for having us. The typical thing you parents say to each other when, a guest comes over. And as they're driving back, Eric's mom says, hey, I was talking with Andrew's mom and apparently he's getting a job this summer. And Eric was a little bit taken aback because he felt like he would have known about this, or maybe he was like, oh, maybe that explains why, Andrew was, being kind of a jerk to me earlier, because maybe he actually is working for it. Doesn't mean he's allowed to be like that much of a jerk, but at the same time, maybe he's kind of justified. And then Eric's mom goes, so basically what happened, because, Eric was a little confused and, she, saw that on his face, so she explained. So basically, Eric's mom goes on to tell Eric that Andrew's mom was, shopping around the store and that, Eric's mom went to the bathroom. So Andrew's mom went to go find the kids, right? And she goes to go find the kids and she's walking up to them. And then she kind of stops because she hears a little bit of the conversation that they're having. The conversation I just told you about when Eric was like, oh, I can't afford these shoes. And she hears her son, Andrew, say the whole thing about how, Eric would be able to afford it if he really was working hard like him. And, Andrew's mom was actually really taken aback by that comment. She always knew her son was a little bit, spoiled. She kind of gave him whatever, but she didn't realize it was this bad. So then Andrew's mom decides to go back. She thinks about it for a little while and then decides that she's going to make Andrew do a summer job this summer. And that she won't be paying for random stuff he wants anymore, so that he actually understands the true value of money, dude. And let me just say that, my friend Eric told me that on that car ride back, he had never been, happier or just been like, okay, justice is served, bro. Karma is real. And yeah, I don't think Eric has seen, his cousin, since. It's not like a beef thing. They just don't really see each other that often. But I just thought that was kind of a great ending to a pretty tough story. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed today's video and want to support the channel, literally just go ahead and watch another one of my videos. There will be some videos on screen right now, and if you don't see them, you can always click on my channel. And if you want to specifically watch more story times, there's probably going to be a story time playlist on screen right now, and if you don't see it on screen, go into the description of this video, and it will be linked down there. Just once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, and yeah, peace. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a story time of when this kid basically went crazy and went on a tantrum saying that he claimed that he ruled the world, man. He owns planet Earth. It was something else. And if you want to own planet Earth, all you got to do is subscribe to this channel with notifications on. Yeah, no joke. Yeah. Make sure you turn on notifications. You won't see my videos otherwise. And also, if you leave a like on the video, I'll give you nothing, which is pretty generous. And with that being said, let's jump right into the story. So my friend told me the story of when he went to summer camp over 2 years ago, right? So at this summer camp, right, he didn't know anyone and he was being dropped off. And it was an overnight camp, so he was going to be there for 2 weeks. And right, so he was a little bit nervous, as a lot of people are. I know when I was dropped off for my first overnight camp, I actually went with a friend, but at the same time, even then, I was pretty nervous because you never really know, like, if it's just going to be a disastrous 2 weeks where you don't meet anyone, yada, yada, yada. Most of you guys understand. So while my friend was being driven over by his mom, he was basically expressing his fears. He was like, hey, I don't know if what if I don't like anyone there? What if no one wants to be friends with me? What if, these next 2 weeks I'm all alone? I need to go through this all by myself. And his mom basically said that, he's going to have a great time. He shouldn't worry about it. And that, these sleepaway camp type things are really good learning experiences. And that basically, she went through it as a child. She had the same thing. She was worried about meeting people as well. And it's just important to build character. And let me just say that the people or at least one person he was about to meet at this camp that he was going to attend would at least, I think, say build character is definitely a way to put it. Once you've experienced with this person, you will have a lot of character. In fact, you'll have enough character to pass around, probably. Give some to me, a little character to everyone who watches this video, I don't know. So he's in the car with his mom, and eventually they pull up. And as he's pulling up, he's looking out, and he sees all these other cars, and he sees big swarms of kids and their parents. And then he sees all these people starting to line up to go into this building. So when his mom and him get out of the car, they kind of look around and they see the building and the line, so they decide to hop into it. And the thing is, my friend looks around and he's kind of looking at all the people, and there's no really big groups of people. It really just looks like a bunch of kids and their parents kind of individually by themselves, which was kind of a relief because he was afraid that, all these kids came with friends and we're just going to stick with those friends. And he was the only person who went to the sleepaway camp that, didn't have any friends that he came with, and he was afraid these were going to be the worst 2 weeks of his life. So he was already feeling a little bit better. I mean, things kind of go downhill in a sense. So this was kind of some false hope in a way. Right, so he gets in line, and after waiting in line for a while, he eventually gets to this table. It's basically like the check-in table, right? So what happens there is he goes up to the table, he and his mom go up, they say, hey, how's it going? So excited to have you, etc. You know how they do in sleepaway camps. But anyways, right, so he goes up, he checks in, and they say, all right, well, you're in Group B. So Group B is going to meet over there in about 10 minutes, and this is the time when you say goodbye to your mom. I don't know about you guys, but this was always the part that got me at these things. But anyways, he says bye to his mom. His mom says, you're going to have a great time. Don't even worry about it. I'm looking around and I see so many other kids in the exact same situation as you. Don't worry about it. You're going to be just fine. So, right, so my friend is waiting there and his mom leaves. He's like, okay, here we go, into the storm, right? So he's kind of the first one in his group there. So he's waiting there. And then eventually he sees another kid and his mom, and the guy at the desk points to where he is, which is where Group B is meeting. And he sees the kid, hug his mom goodbye, and the kid comes over. And this guy seems pretty normal. He's having a few conversations. He's talking about oh, why did you sign up for this camp? Where do you live? What do you do in your free time? And this guy seems pretty normal. So my friend was, feeling pretty good because he already met one guy who's kind of chill. So, he's like, okay, this is actually going to be a pretty decent experience. Or so he thought, right? So so my friend and this guy were kind of just there. They're chilling, they're talking, just getting to know each other. When my friend notices another guy at the stand. So this other guy came with his mom, right? And, he kind of had a bit of an essence to him, a bit of an aura. I don't really know how to say it, but kind of the way, he was, I don't know, carrying himself, the way it looked like he was speaking. They hadn't even interacted with him. This guy hadn't even said a thing to my friend, but my friend just automatically got a bad feeling. Obviously, he was very open because he was like, okay, I have a bad feeling, so what? My gut reaction could be wrong. All I'm going to say, guys, is if you have a gut reaction about something, it's not always going to be right, but don't automatically, don't automatically say it's false, because we have a lot of instincts that, we've developed over thousands of years that just sometimes it's hard to explain, but sometimes you do just got to trust that. And in this case, my friend was very much right. So the kid comes over after saying goodbye to his mom, and he's just kind of like, what's up? He's like, sup? And like, really is just not interacting with them. And at first, my friend, like, initially, he was like, okay, this kid obviously like is shy and he's nervous. Like, he's like, kind of like, okay, dude, I've been there too. So he's like, okay, you know what? I'll actually, I'll kind of like, go above and beyond and try and hang out with this guy, do some activities, because he's obviously having a hard time. And this is kind of where I thought I was going to be. So it's kind of the right thing to just, go ahead and just like hang out with this guy, and he could be pretty chill, Turns out he should have listened to his gut. So eventually some more kids come over to the Group B section where my friend and the other guys were. And then after a little while, a counselor came over and was like, okay, this is everyone. I hope you guys had a little time to meet each other. And then he's like, okay, guys, so we're going to be heading back to the cabin for tonight, and I'll show you guys your place, and we'll be getting dinner soon. But in the meantime, grab your stuff, and we'll be heading over. So they head over to the cabin. There's a little bit more small talk that's happening. But basically, right, they head over. And the cabin, man, it's not a bad cabin for, like, wilderness camps. But it's not obviously, the Four Seasons luxury hotel accommodations, man. It's a cabin in a wilderness camp. It's gonna be a little crappy. It is what it is, bro. And the thing is, this kid, basically the spoiled kid that, like, that my friend got a bad feeling about, right away off the bat started complaining, bro. They were walking up to the place and he was like, I don't see an air conditioning unit. Where's the air conditioning unit? It's so hot outside. I've never slept without an air conditioning unit. And at first my friend was like, okay, dude, it's like a wilderness camp, but like whatever. I'll be nice to the guy. And he's like, it's okay. The night should be pretty cool. And the guy was like, fine, I guess. So once they get into the cabin, there's a bunch of like bunk beds where there's a top bunk and a bottom bunk, and the kids kind of separate and split up. And so my friend and the spoiled kid, who he didn't really know is the spoiled kid, but we're just going to call him the spoiled kid, they basically went together, or at least my friend walked with them as he wanted to be like a buddy to this guy. Little did he know the mistake he was making. And my friend really wanted top bunk because it's just something he really prefers. So he said, hey, if you don't mind, I'm going to try and take top bunk. But the spoiled kid said, no, I'm taking top bunk. And the thing is, if you really want a top bunk, you could be like, hey man, like, how much do you really want it? Because like, that's my preference. He says like, it's like, we can totally figure it out. But the kid was like, no, that's my bunk, and jumps up on the top bunk. Like, he climbs all the way up and gets in the bed to prevent my friend from going in. And my friend is like, okay. Sorry to interrupt this video, but if you made it this far, comment door down below. Yes, D-O-O-R, like, something that you enter a building with. I just like to see who makes it this far into the video, but don't always just comment door right away, because I do change it up every once in a while, and most likely next video it won't be door. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the story. So anyways, at dinner that night, they all walk over, and at this point, my friend is like not a super big fan of the spoiled kid, but like he's not totally given up on him yet until dinner time, which he does, right? So they get to dinner, and it's kind of it's the type where like you sit at a table with your group. So Group B is all sitting together. They're also in the same cabin, so they kind of do stuff together, right? And the way that the dinner is served, it is like there's a big bowl of the meal, and then it's like supposed to be passed around, and people can kind of take portions that are, basically the size of what you want. So the meal's getting passed around, and the last two people to receive the meal are my friend and the spoiled kid. So there's about enough for both of them when it gets around to the spoiled kid, and they're the last two to have it. So my friend was kind of just expecting the kid to kind of like take the, the food, just split it in half, because it was like a decent proportion for like a meal, right? But what the spoiled kid does instead is he scoops the entire thing onto his plate and hands my friend the empty dish. At this point, my friend's like, hey bro, like, can I have some of that? And the kid's like, no, that's unfortunate. Like, you shouldn't have been last. At this point, my friend is starting to get a little bit mad. And like the other people, like the counselor was like not paying attention, but there were some other kids in Group B that were starting to notice this guy's behavior. So this behavior continues throughout the first week. There's a lot of little examples, but I don't want this video to go on way too long, as it could go, as there were a lot of examples. So after the first week, there was a whole nother week these guys were gonna have to stay together. And basically, these kids in Group B basically had enough of the spoiled kid. But the thing was, this kid never really acted that, spoiled or that bratty when, camp counselors were around, as he definitely would have been like reprimanded, right? So their plan was to kind of like set it up so that like when one of the camp counselors somehow to get him in trouble, right? They wanted the camp counselors to kind of catch him in the action. So basically what their plan was they were going to basically talk to this kid and assume that he would have done something kind of like bratty as he had been consistently doing. But also one of them would have gone out and said, hey, camp counselor, can you come in? I want to show you something. It's something I've been working on. And basically they would have some kind of like little project thing to show them like if the plan didn't work so it wasn't super obvious. But basically what the conversation they were having, all the kids in Group B and the spoiled kid were having a conversation about the activities they were having that night. So that night they were basically going to cook up some s'mores, and the spoiled kid started going on about saying how he should have half the s'mores because, he deserves it because of like, he's just better than all of them. And he's really going off at this point because he had just been escalating throughout the week to the point where they really just needed like someone to hear this. They just needed one of the counselors to come in and put an end to this basically. So one of the friends, while the other friends are talking to the spoiled kid, making him kind of go off on a tangent about how he's better than everyone and how he deserves everything, right? The other kid is saying, oh, can you come over here? We want to show you something. And so the counselor is coming over with the other kid, and the other kids are talking to the spoiled kid as well as my friend, right, to get him to keep talking. And then the counselor comes up to the door, and he's starting to hear what the spoiled kid is saying, and then he stops in his tracks to listen to the rest of the conversation. And the spoiled kid basically goes on to say something along the lines of, I deserved the majority of the marshmallows tonight because I am just better than all of you. When the camp counselor hears that, he kind of it clicks and he goes into the room and he's like, what did you just say? And probably the craziest thing is this spoiled kid probably had never been reprimanded in his life because he goes on to tell the counselor exactly what he told the other guys. Basically that tonight he should have a larger percentage of the marshmallows because he is just better than them and he should be rewarded accordingly. The counselor looks obviously dumbfounded and all the other guys are just like, oh my god, he completely fell into our trap. Like, we can't believe he actually said that in front of the counselor. Like, we really thought we had to get him to, catch him in the act, but bro, if we asked, he would have said. That's crazy. So basically what ended up happening was the camp counselor, basically told the kid, yeah, you're just not even tonight, you're not even going to the marshmallow event. And then he starts having a meltdown in front of everyone. So basically when the kid is told by the counselor that he can't get any marshmallows tonight because of what he said, he goes on this, he starts screaming, he starts throwing stuff, he starts kicking over things to the point where he actually kicks one of the bunk beds, and for some reason he gets it at just the right angle that he cracks one of the beams. Maybe it wasn't the best thing structurally. He goes in, he bumps stuff around. He bumps over the lamp in one of the corners, and it falls and it hits the window and breaks the window pane. This guy has basically gone around just doing all this damage just because he was told that he can't have any marshmallows after he told the counselor point blank that he should have more because he is just better because he is better. At this point, the camp counselor is like, come with me. And they take him away. And my friend and his friends were just like, oh my god, we did not expect him to go on a full-on rampage. We just wanted him to be, we just wanted someone to tell him what's up, right? We didn't expect this whole thing to happen, right? So basically, they go on with their day, and they have marshmallows, and the spoiled kid doesn't come back for that. And they go back to bed, and they're waiting for, at the cabin, for when they get back to the cabin, to see the spoiled kid there. They don't. They do see the counselor, though. So they say, hey, what ended up happening? And the counselor explains to them that after the whole rampage and all the damage that the spoiled kid caused, they called his parents and explained what happened and demanded that they pick him up that night. Yeah, so basically for the rest of the week, my friend was free of the spoiled kid because he got picked up that night. And honestly, the rest of like his friends in the Group B cabin, he actually became kind of close with because they bonded over how much they disliked this one kid. Moral of the story, don't be a jerk, guys. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed today's video and want to support the channel, go ahead and watch another one of my videos. Some videos will appear on screen right now, or you can always click on my channel. I also suggest that you do watch the Storytime playlist, which will be in the description. It'll appear in the top right corner, and it might appear on screen. So go ahead and watch some of my old videos. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a subscriber story about the spoiled rich kid who is basically being a brat the whole time, and at one point he even said, and I quote, "Poor people are garbage." Thankfully, this kid gets what's coming to him, and the ending is pretty good, and when I saw this story, I just thought I had to tell it on the channel. If you enjoy Storytime videos, consider subscribing to the channel with notifications on. If you don't turn on those notifications, you will not see the videos. And also, leave a like on the video right now, and you will receive absolutely nothing, just because I'm feeling extra special generous today. And with that being said, let's get right into the story. So this story takes place during Thanksgiving of this year. The subscriber has an extended family in which every Thanksgiving he goes and visits, and he drives down a couple hours to the location that he goes to, and it's him and all of his family members all meet up for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is an interesting holiday because, like, if you don't like your family, you are forced to go see them. Thankfully, I like my family. We get along quite well, and it's always a good time to see them. But there's a lot of times where, family are the friends that you're forced to have. So sometimes you guys just don't mix well. It is what it is. But, this subscriber really likes everyone in his family, except there's this one cousin he has, which he cannot stand. Subscriber was, pretty middle class. He just was kind of like normal guy, right? And the rest of his family was kind of in the same situation, except he had this one cousin who came from a very, very, very rich family. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that at all. In fact, it's totally fine, right? It's more the attitude and the way you go about it, right? And this cousin had a terrible attitude. And the thing is, I saw a comment on a video I made about another situation or another story that was kind of similar, where someone was just kind of being bratty because they had money. And someone said it really is the parents' fault. And the thing is, I will kind of have to agree. This kid was like 9, 10 or something, and at that age, it's still a little bit on the kid because they're doing it and they are at least aware of what they're doing. But at the same time, a lot of it is coming from, how you're raised, if your parents didn't enforce rules around this stuff. But anyways, right, so there's this cousin that the subscriber hates, and he was really hoping that the cousin would, I don't know, go to some fancy trip in Spain or something for Thanksgiving instead. He was really hoping he would get lucky and they'd be like, "Oh no, we're going to Norway to I don't even know, man, we can't come." But nope, they had no plans, and the mom of the cousin was like, "Oh, we're so excited to see you guys." And the subscriber was like, okay. Anyway, so he's driving down, and he's talking to his mom a little bit, or the subscriber is driving down, to be clear. So the subscriber talks to his mom, and he's kind of explaining why he's a little bit bummed out to go. And his mom's like, "Yeah, your cousin does not have the right manners. He doesn't really know. He definitely needs his mom really needs to step up the game." But the thing is, we need to see the rest of your family, right? We're only able to do this, once a year to get everyone together. And don't you like the rest of your family? And the subscriber was like, "Yeah, I do really like the rest of my family. And I should just suck it up because, this guy, how bad can my cousin be, man? How bad can my cousin be?" And let me just say, he underestimated how bad his cousin could be, bro. So let's give the cousin a name. Let's call the cousin Jimmy. Yeah, the cousin's name's going to be Jimmy for the sake of this video. Obviously, his name is not actually Jimmy. I actually didn't even get the name. So there's a small chance it actually is Jimmy, but it's not Jimmy. That's the fake name we'll use for the cousin. Anyway, so the subscriber eventually gets to the house of I think it was his aunt or some family member that kind of hosts this whole thing. And he gets there, and Jimmy is not there. His cousin Jimmy is not there. But basically every other family member is there, right? So he's actually the subscriber's having a really good time just, interacting with his family, just catching up. He hasn't seen them in over a year since the last time he's seen them all in one place was, last Thanksgiving. But normally he'll see some of them more often, but this year was just kind of crazy, and he didn't see any of them during the whole year. But then they hear a car pull up outside, and the subscriber is just like, okay, this is Jimmy. So he kind of like gets up and he peeks out the window, and outside is this like super nice car. He's like, yep, okay, there's no shot this isn't Jimmy at this point. So they're waiting at the door, and they hear the doorbell ring, and the dogs are barking, and the dude's like, okay, it's only a matter of time, like he's here, just get over yourself, bro. So subscribers like, dude, you just got to get through this one night, and also just don't hang out with him, man. Like, it's not that hard. Literally hang out with everyone else. The problem was, like, he was like the age of the subscriber. Oh no, the subscriber was the age of like Jimmy, the cousin, and they were kind of younger than everyone else there. There was a lot of like older relatives, and then there were some kids, but the kids were like 18, 19. They were like, I don't know, like 11, 10. So he was kind of bound to be hanging out with the cousin, but he was really hoping he'd get lucky and just be able to hang out with the older kids, and then also the parents or whatever. But yeah, anyway, so Jimmy walks in, and his mom's like, oh, hi everyone, oh man, I missed you guys so much, it's so good to see you. You know how it goes. So they kind of go around saying hi to everyone, and then eventually Jimmy goes around saying hi to the subscriber. And he kind of just looks at him and he's like, hi. And at first the subscriber was like, oh, maybe he's just kind of shy, but he kind of felt like he was being snubbed a little bit because Jimmy was kind of gave him a look, like no enthusiasm, no care in the world, was just like, hi there, cousin I'm forced to be with. The whole family kind of like gathers around, besides some people in the kitchen that are kind of like finishing up the Thanksgiving meal, getting it ready. And the meal would probably be ready in like an hour or so. So the whole family decided to kind of gather together and just kind of like talk amongst each other, just kind of like be there. So Jimmy and the subscriber are kind of near each other, and the subscriber's like, okay, fine, I'll talk to Jimmy. So it's Jimmy and him, and he was kind of hoping that another person would come over to talk like with them, but it just ended up being those two. So the subscriber's like, hi Jimmy, right? The subscriber wasn't like, he admitted that he wasn't being like super enthusiastic, but he was at least like, he was putting in some effort. He's like, hey Jimmy, like, how's school going? And Jimmy's like, I don't even have to go to school because I don't even have to get a job. Like, dude went right on, he started right away on his tangent, bro. On his like just his attitude. Not even a second out of the bat, he's already like, I don't need to go to school. I don't need to get a job when I'm older. Like, all right, I'll have plenty of money. And the subscriber's like, oh boy, this is about it. This about to be a long Thanksgiving, bro. I'm going to interrupt this video just for a second and ask you guys to comment eggnog down below. That's EGGNOG. That's like a festive drink a lot of people drink at Christmas time. If you don't know, like about midway or close to the end of my videos, I have people comment something to see who actually makes it to the end, as I really do appreciate people who watch my videos all the way. And yeah, we're commenting eggnog today. And also, if you want a lot of hearts from me and you want to farm like top commenter or most hearts on the channel, I'm trying to heart as many comments that just comment eggnog down below. So yeah, anyways, back to the story. So the subscriber kind of responds to Jimmy, and just to recap, the subscriber just asked Jimmy like, oh, how's school going? And Jimmy said, oh, I hate it. It's so stupid. Like, why am I even going? Because I don't even need to work when I'm out of college, right? Or out of school. Maybe he doesn't even want to go to college. And so the subscriber is kind of like, he's not very happy, but he's not going to be super confrontational about this. While it makes sense, because, you don't want to start something on Christmas, the fact that like the subscriber wasn't confrontational throughout the next like bit of the story, he said in the DM that he sent me because you can submit stories to my Instagram, it's in the description. He basically said that he probably was like, the fact that he didn't like push back more against Jimmy was probably one of the reasons why the story went as bad as it did later on. But anyways, back to the story. So then Jimmy wasn't like, the subscriber wasn't too happy at Jimmy for what he said, but obviously he doesn't want to start something. But he kind of said like in response, he's like, oh, like, I mean, I'm doing pretty well in school. Like, I kind of have to, because like I'm really trying to get into a decent college so that I can go and get a comp sci degree from a decent college. Because like he's like, yeah, I want to I gotta like think about money in the future. Kind of like in response to like what Jimmy said, and it was supposed to be kind of like a little response saying like hey man, like I actually got to work and you don't. And like kind of as like a negative thing. But Jimmy was like, yeah, man, that must suck for you. Like, he didn't understand that like the subscriber was trying to say that as like a negative thing towards Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, huh, tough L, lol. Which, I mean, this was all pretty impressive for them being like 10 or whatever. And to be fair, the subscriber, like, I'm going to make the assumption that he like saw one of those like YouTube videos of like best careers. And honestly, I have a lot of friends now that are in college that are getting comp sci degrees because they know it's a good major. So like, shout out to the subscriber, bro. Like, honestly, shout out to the subscriber for knowing what he's doing so early on. Anyways, Jimmy's like, oh, you probably have to work a summer job too. And at this point, the subscriber had not, but he honestly had been thinking about it because there had been some games they'd been wanting to play. But his mom was like, you know, those are too expensive or I'm not going to buy them for you. And if you want to get them, you're going to have to do it with your own money and, you know, maybe mow some lawns or something like that. I think the subscriber's too young to like actually get like a real job, but he'd like go around, I don't know if like a paper route's still a thing or maybe mowing some lawns or just the stuff you do when you're too young for like an actual part-time job. So he was a little upset by the fact that like Jimmy was dunking on him for like trying to get his hustle on, trying to grind, right? So, but he doesn't respond with anything that negative. He's just like, yeah, probably. And then he kind of ends the conversation. The subscriber's like, I can't do this anymore. So he's like, hey, Jimmy, nice to talk to you. I got to go to the bathroom. He goes to the bathroom and then he comes back and sits somewhere else during the conversation, which honestly, bro, that's pretty smart. So eventually it is dinner time. And that's probably one of the best parts of Thanksgiving. Yeah, I like seeing my family, but bro, that pumpkin pie, man, that's something else. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, right. So it's dinner time and, you know, the turkey's being passed around and cut or whatever. And Jimmy's like, to his mom, he kind of looks over at his mom. He's like, I can take a bigger piece, right? Because I'm rich. And no one really hears this, but the subscriber hears this and just rolls his eyes. He's like, oh my God, Jimmy's actually the worst. Mom responds like, oh, Jimmy, of course you can take a bigger piece, but that's not a reason why you can take a bigger piece. Completely like ignoring how bad what her son just said was and kind of just saying like, oh, a little slap on the wrist for what he said, but being like, yeah, of course you can get a bigger piece, right? So Jimmy says, or the subscriber's like, bro, you cannot be serious, man. So at the dinner table, right, they're, you know, they've passed around the food, passed around the turkey, you know, things are good, people are digging in, but they're also talking with each other. And for some reason, right, the car ride up for Jimmy kind of like comes up in conversation. His mom was like, oh yeah, it was such a tough ride down here. Like it took a long time. We're in a lot of traffic. We had to go through some cities. And then Jimmy decides to pipe up, which this is the beginning of the end, bro. So Jimmy decides to pipe up, which is, you know, as I said earlier, just like a bad idea. So what he starts going on is he's like, yeah, the car ride took so long and we had to go through this neighborhood and the houses were so small. I don't know how anyone could live in a house like that. There weren't even like, there wasn't a garage with like 3 cars in it, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know how anyone even lives like that. And at one point, the traffic got so bad that my mom was like, maybe next time we should take public transportation, like the train. Then Jimmy goes on to say, and then I said to my mom, poor people are garbage, and I don't want to be around them because I'll catch a disease. And then he kind of makes us look around, kind of like looking for validation after what he just said, because he thought it was like super funny and true, and like everyone would be like, oh, that's so funny and true, Jimmy, like, wow, you're a comedian, like, you're actually so funny and true. And everyone's just like looking at him just like blank face, this like, come again? I did checking their ears like, oh, I must have gotten something wrong here, man. So the subscriber's sitting there, and honestly, he's trying to hold back laughter because he knows that Jimmy just messed up. And then he looks at Jimmy's mom, whose face is just blank, just completely blank. But you could see that she like, it looks like she just swallowed a rock, bro. Like her face was blank, but you could look at her eyes. And all of a sudden, you see that Jimmy stands up, but he didn't stand up on his own accord. His mom yanked him up and literally just walked him out of the house. Literally just pulled him by like the shirt, and Jimmy's like, Mom, right, you walked him out of the house. And then like the dinner table was so silent, and they just wait like a minute, and then they hear a car engine go, and they hear a car leave, and the subscriber's like, no way, dude, this isn't real. He runs out to look out the window, Jimmy's car's gone. And he comes back to the table, and he's just like, what just happened? And nothing really happened after that besides the subscriber and his family had a great Thanksgiving. And yeah, that was quite an ending, so I thought I had to tell that in the story. What did I just say? I just said I have to tell that on the story. I had to tell that story on the channel. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, if you really want to support the channel, just go ahead and watch another one of my story videos. There might be one in the sidebar recommended, or there might be some on screen right now. But, you know, you can also watch the Storytime playlist, which holds all the stories. It's first link in the description. It probably popped up on screen. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.